Yes, indeed. B Marsh Boxing back at it on this 4th of July with another boxing video. It was good boxing heads and fight fans around the world. So, man, I woke up, man, this morning, checked out the boxing news as I do every day when I wake up. And y'all know, man, this guy, James Degale, my favorite super middleweight, mind you. My favorite super middleweight on the planet, you know what I mean? I've been a fan of Chunky for a long time, you know what I'm saying? Since I seen him in the Olympics. Um, Well, you see the title. I'm sorry, James DeGale vacates his IBF title. You know what I mean? He vacates his IBF title, James DeGale has been a champion since when? Since what? I believe 2015 when he beat Andre Durrell for the vacant IBF title that Carl Froch had vacated, you know what I mean? And he's a former British and European champion. You know what I mean? He's had two reigns as a world champion at 168 for about 3 years, and he's been in six IBF world titles. You know what I mean? Six world title fights with the IBF. You check it. He's fought guys like Lucian Bute. You know what I mean? In his title reign, of course, after he had a good run. You know what I mean? He beat Durrell for this title. He beat Lucian Bute, went to Canada. Then he came to DC and he fought Porky Medina and he won a majority decision. Some people actually had him losing that fight. I thought he won, but barely. You know what I'm saying? He had that unification great fight with the man Badu Jack trying to unify the IBF and WBC. And ultimately, whoever won that fight would be the lineal champion and Ring Magazine champion. But none of them they both failed the mission, you know what I mean? And James DeGale, I had that fight a draw, and that's exactly how the judges saw it, you know what I mean? So he was injured in that fight, you know what I mean? That was in January of 2017. He came back in December of 2017 after, having a lot of injuries that he sustained from that fight with Badu Jack. And he came over to England in the homecoming fight in his title defense against Caleb Truex, and Caleb Truex gave him that work, man. Beat the shit out of him. There's no other way to slice it and dice it. You know what I mean? James DeGale was given that work by Caleb Truex. A lot of people ain't see that coming. You know what I mean? Because if I did, best believe I would have put some money on Caleb Truex. But ultimately, James DeGale got the rematch in April in Las Vegas, and he beat the man Caleb Truex. You know what I mean? So the man James DeGale was supposed to be in a purse bid um, for his first title defense in his second reign against, a purse bid against the interim champion Jose Uzcategui. You know what I mean? And that's supposed to be this Thursday, actually tomorrow, July 5th. But he's withdrawn. You know what I mean? He's vacated the strap. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna read you some quotes from what the man James DeGale said, and then I'm gonna give you my opinion on what he said and why I think he did drop the title. All right. So quote: No world champion easily gives up their world title that they have earned the hard way in the ring, and I've proudly held the IBF world title in two reigns with pride and distinction, which is why it makes it very hard to relinquish the belt. It has been a pleasure to work with the IBF, and I would like to thank President Darrell Peoples for allowing me to challenge and hold the distinguished belt that so many of the division's great champions have held before me. It's been an honor to be recognized as the IBF World Champion, and I hope that by now vacating it will ease the transition to determine a successor between the interim champion Jose Uzcategui and the next highly ranked available contender. I've achieved so much in my career: Olympic gold medal, British and European and international titles, and two-time world champion, and I believe I'm at the top of my game right now. I'm in the final phase of my career where I have a few good years left where I can be involved in massive fights and really have a legacy in the division's history. My team have been working very hard behind the scenes, and we've got some very big and exciting news to announce soon. End quote. All right. So when the man James DeGale says that he's achieved so much in his career, well, he has as far as amateur, even in the professional ranks. But his world title reign at super middleweight, in my opinion, remains unfulfilled. You know what I mean? Point blank period. He never achieved the lineal, even though the IBF strap at 168. Whomever has that title, in my opinion, is always the lineal, and that's a fact. And that's not even opinion. That's a fact. Is always going to be the lineal champion. You know what I'm saying? Because that IBF strap is the first super middleweight title ever. You know what I mean? Murray Sutherland, he won that title, I believe, in '84. I can't even remember who he beat, but I know who beat him. The Korean, Inchal Baek. You know what I'm saying? And that guy fought fellas like Julian Jackson. You know what I mean? But that's the first world title ever, the lineal title at 168. And there's been a lot of British fighters who've held that title, from Carl Froch to Joe Calzaghe. You know what I mean? Even fellas like Roy Jones and James Toney held that title. So it is a prestigious belt. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to 168 pounds, that's the top-notch belt in my opinion. You know, um, and actually, that's not an opinion. That's a fact. You know what I mean? That belt is definitely the lineal title, and it is the belt that should be, that Ace, the super middleweight champion, should try to get. 168 is WBC. All them titles is cool, but 168 is the lineal title. But the man is talking about James Degale, that he's in the final phase of his career and he'd like to have be involved in massive fights and really have a legacy in the division's history. Well, in my opinion, he should have just tried to be unified. He has what, two losses on his career now, right on his resume. He never even avenged the first loss, and a fight that I thought he won versus George Groves. That'd be a massive unification in England. You know what I mean? That's if the man George Groves can get through Callum Smith. You know what I'm saying? That's a fight that I was thinking, ultimately these two guys should meet again now as world champions. Because when they did fight, I could consider them at that particular time probably contenders. Just getting out the prospect phase, but being contenders when they both fought each other. You know what I mean? And this is before George Groves even fought Carl Froch. You check it, but ultimately, I think the man James DeGale, he's trying to get a fight. I've heard rumors and rumbling about James DeGale versus Billy Joe Saunders. All right, Billy Joe Saunders, I would assume, would be moving up in weight. I don't know if he'd have to vacate his 160-pound title. I would hope not. Personally, I would like the man Billy Joe Saunders to get a fight between the winner of Canoli and Triple G, and or the winner of Derevchenko versus Danny Jacobs. You know what I'm saying? That's ultimately what I'd like to see. Fellas need to solidify where they at the 160 pound or 160 pound, 68-pound division. But James DeGale is not about that life. And like I said, he's my favorite super middleweight. But going into that fight with the man Jose Uzcategui, I was picking Jose Uzcategui to win that fight. In my opinion, the man James DeGale is trying to avoid the man Jose Uzcategui. Jose Uzcategui is not no big time seller as far as getting people to come out and see him. It's probably gonna be high risk, low reward fight for the man James DeGale. But regardless, this is what the life you signed up for. You know what I mean? You fought Caleb Truex. I'm sure that was high risk. It should have never even been a high risk, but it was probably a low reward fight for both fights. You know what I mean? Risky fights for the man James DeGale. You check it, and I think he slept and underestimated the man Caleb Truex, but there ain't no sleeping on the man Jose Uzcategui. You know what I mean? Uzcategui is a bad man. You check it, and I'm actually about to look right now at the IBF sanctioning to see who's highly ranked in the sanctioning body. Give me one sec, because in my opinion, I believe that the man James DeGale is avoiding the man um, Jose Uzcategui. How does he vacate his world title a day before the purse bid? That's like Kovalev and them when they pulled out the purse bid with the man Adonis Stevenson. They did that twice. You know what I mean? When they were close, that was the closest they were gonna get to having a fight with the man Adonis Stevenson. A purse bid that they called for, but then they ducked up out of it. You know what I mean? So give me one sec. Let me try to look and see. I mean, let me know what you think about that situation, and I'm out of here. One.